viewfinder. I'll get one to show you in a minute. But you take that so that you can narrow down what you want to paint, because it's overwhelming. You're like, oh, I love that tree over there.
You're getting everything else.
Yeah, and we think sometimes more is better, or we see a lot of things we like. So that's what I started with. I mean, I had the zinnias over here, and I had apples, and I had a whole bunch of different things. Then I had all this. I had this up here, and I really liked that until I photographed it. And then I was like, it's gonna have to be a long portrait mode. A lot of times a beautiful tall vase, you think you love it, but then it's this, you have to have it on a long skinny canvas, or otherwise you have a lot of empty space around it. So when you start pulling these things together, you realize there's a lot that goes into doing still life.
So are the principles the same for whatever you're getting ready to paint, a portrait or kids on a beach or?
Somewhat. Brandy mentioned the thirds when you went to the sips and strokes. And again, the idea, I wasn't prepared for this to be a workshop. If it were a workshop, I would have handouts for you and lots of illustrations and PowerPoint, so it was really an open studio. But I want to talk about some of these things. You would divide the canvas like a tic-tac-toe into thirds. And your focal point, you would want to go at one of these places where the tic-tac-toe intersects. That's the usual thing you look for. Now that's a rule, and in art there really are no rules. You decide what you want to do, but it makes sense to do it that way. You don't want a vase all the way over here on the edge like it's falling out the side of the painting. You want to put things in, in a nice way. So I did a bunch of pictures this morning, okay? So what I would do, I would take these into Photoshop and crop them, and make, like this one, everything's falling down I had a little copper kettle over there, and I thought, I've painted the copper kettle, and it's really fun, but it's hard. So I thought, no, we're not doing that today. So I kind of regrouped.
So many reflections in it.
There's a lot of, yeah, I mean, you see all the oranges. You're painting like a double painting here.
It's pretty.
It is pretty. These were dark, so I kept taking some pictures. And this was a lot of stuff to paint here, and it doesn't, there's no space in between it. I would take it in Photoshop and lighten it. But I chose the complementary colors, blue and orange, because they look good together. And I love the little pattern. Hey girl, come on in here. I love the patterns of light that come through this glass. And you can see they make a really interesting shadow. And I've got I've got two oranges, 3 items. So you'd like to have an odd number. It's just better. When you have even numbers, it feels really awkward. So 3, 5, 7, 9, 1, or if you have 4 items, say you had.
But you could put those closer together, it could be fun.
Right. So you could do 2, if you had 2 oranges over here and a slice and the glass. So we can adjust some of these. But there's a lot to it. There's a lot to thinking it through. I thought about doing an orange and slicing them, and I was waiting until we were close to ready to do it. And I went and looked at my knives, and I have a bunch of plastic knives, and I thought, I gotta buy some old wood knives, because you want.
I did one with a knife.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool if you do the silver and
Yeah.
the wood.
And so, and also in still life, it makes it more interesting if you mix up your textures. So say you have fruit and wood and metal. So you have a variety in there. You don't have all fruit, or all shiny. You want to have some interest in your still life, and they should relate. Like, I wouldn't want to put a fork here. You want it to make sense. So there's a lot of things that go into setting up. But also what I want to show you is when you take the picture and when you look over there, look at the difference. Say, look at the yellow flowers and look how dark the background is compared to life. So in real life, the camera makes these almost black. I mean, not real life. In the camera, they're almost black. So you see the difference in when you're looking at something from life. Now I'm going to try to turn as much overhead light, artificial light, off as possible. And I may see how the light looks coming through the window, because I really love this window in the morning to shoot flowers through. With the sun coming through the petals, I was hoping that was what we would have this morning, and I was going to set some stuff up over there. But see, even the shadow on the lemon is really, really dark. And when you look over there, it's not that dark. So you can take pictures for your drawing, but if you really want to get beautiful color, work from life and try to get as much done today. Even if you don't get it all finished, make color notes and go, okay, that shadow was this color. It wasn't that dark. Even if you have to do it on a separate, one of my little pieces of cardstock, make yourself some color notes so that when you go back to finish it from your photograph, your brain will make these black, dark pieces that are gonna be too harsh. They're not gonna be attractive. So that's part of what I wanted to show you. So now, I put the teacup here, and the first thing is it had a light background, so the handle disappeared. Well, the handle's an important part of the teacup, because if you don't see it, it looks like a sugar thing, or it just doesn't look like a teacup. So I got a little purple washcloth, dark purple, and put it behind it. It is too dark, so I would take this into Photoshop and lighten it up. I cut a slice of lemon after I took this photo. So I could take the spoon away and have the cup, the lemon, and a slice of lemon, and have 3 things. And that would be a nice still life. I wouldn't want my items, like this lemon is just about to what they call kiss on canvas. You don't want your items to just touch each other. They look better if they overlap a little bit, or if you pull them apart and have a feeling. That one's terrible. You let light go around in behind it. See, so there's light coming. Well, which way's the light coming? The light's coming from over here, but it's coming in behind here. So I do have a little feeling of light going in behind this lemon and behind this cup. So I'll probably work with this a little bit more to get a little space. I don't want these 2 items to be, I want to pull them apart a little bit. So those are,
looks brown.
huh?
Looks brown in the picture.
The washcloth.
Yeah, and it's purple. So see how very different. Look
Because
how
I think in
bright.
that picture you had before the flowers, I was like, it looks brown.
And you have to think also, when I go like to an open studio session and they have lighting on a model or lighting on a still life, I go look at the bulbs and see, are they yellow bulbs or are they blue? Well, think about. So when you go online and you take somebody's photo and you just use it and you don't get permission, I try to say this in all my classes. People have gone to a lot of trouble to set stuff up, and it's their artistic piece, even if it's a photograph. So the more you learn yourself about setting your stuff up and photographing it yourself, working from life, you have 100% ownership of that piece of art, and you're not copying somebody else's art. You don't have to look over your shoulder and go, oh, I wonder if they're gonna come to my art show and see that I copied their photo and I might get sued, So you have to think about those things. I know. Honestly, it's a possibility. It's just like a writer. If you're gonna copy somebody and you're not gonna give them credit, you have to. It's the same thing with art shows. So be really careful about that. It's not okay to do that. It's okay to do it to learn. And if you're hanging it in your house but you can't sell it. You can't show it and pretend like, oh, this is 100% mine. So educate yourself. Now look at the difference in this one. It is unbelievable. What?
You said educate yourself.
Educate yourself. Learn. We never get done learning. In the color from my photo, and I'm using my good camera, okay? So it's not anything like this. It's not anything like it. I took it in Photoshop and tweaked it a little bit. Let's see if any of these are any better. So let me show you what else I did. So instead of just that, I'm gonna come back to the apples. I came back to just this little thing. Because I'm getting to where you'll see my little paintings, most of the ones I've sold are little single vases like this, and maybe not even the whole vase. But I love the way the light's coming through right here.
Look at that stem.
And the stem's lit up.
Cool.
So there I cropped it, because now I don't have to worry about a big, tall composition. And you don't think about that when you're sitting down.
So that's okay to just cut that off like that?
I think it is. I mean, you could do a study. You could just do the top of this rim of the glass. I did it with that one. That's a print of a painting I did. And I just cut the vases off on the top. And you can do whatever you want to do. you know, when we're painting people, you're careful, you don't cut people like at a joint. So I probably wouldn't cut the vase in half. You know, it just makes more sense to have head and shoulders, to crop it here. There are some places that are more interesting to crop. So let me keep going. These colors still are not, look how orange this is.
So weird.
It's something to do with the lighting, or maybe my white balance set on my camera is set for automatic. Now, I went back to the apples. I had the 3 apples. This would be probably, if you just want to learn a lot today, I would do that 1 apple. Because you'll learn more, you'll get it finished today, you'll learn more about working from life by just doing that 1 apple. I had the 3 up there, and I had them all different ways. So if you have 1 apple turned this way, it's pointing you out of the picture. So I had one laying on its, you know, I didn't want them all exactly the same. I wanted some variety. Let me see if I took pictures of them all. So I moved them apart so that there's some spaces, you know, because it's not just the 3 items, it's the space between the items that you want to have some interest in. You want to have beautiful shadows, you want to have some interest in between. These are kind of blurred. There's the 1 apple. Look at the difference. Let me see if I got another one. I kept trying to get this. Look, you can tell that's a warm light because look how red this is.
Yeah.
And that's a halogen light, which, you know, if you learn a little bit about different light bulbs, we have all kinds of light bulbs to choose from now. They all have a different temperature to them. And so they throw that on your object. So the 1 apple, but look how different it is than that. Look how black the shadow is. And this one is luminous and green when you sit over here. It's really pretty. So if you can make yourself learn to work from life, your paintings will instantly be better than if you're working from a photograph. And that's what the master teachers tell you all the time. You get so sick of hearing it. You're like, I don't want to do that. Now I've set these 2 down here, and I kind of like how they looked. Now it's 2 items, but I kind of like to, I thought, well, I'll just set them down there, and you can paint from them down there. You've got a top, a front, and a side. You probably won't do the keyboard.
But the green scarf almost looks like a 3rd item.
Yeah, so yeah, you could, I mean, that kind of swirls in, kind of leads the eye up a little bit, so I don't know if that's a great composition. There, I just zoomed in, I did slice the lemon, and I zoomed in on the teacup. These are not gonna be this black under that under that saucer.
You did that teacup, did you, in the bathroom?
It's somewhere, I think
Yeah,
I
I
did.
did it.
That's my mom's teacup.
I think that really good.
You had that in one that we did lemons with it.
There it is. No, that's a different teacup up there.
Didn't
Well,
we?
anyway, it was,
Yeah.
it was really
Different.
It's
interesting.
fun to just do a little tea, and people love those. You know, people are interested in those. So I've cropped it. I don't have the whole lemon. Sometimes we're trying to, and I like kind of like the feeling of these blurred lemons in the background. You know, because that pulls you. The spoon kind of pulls you around and pulls you back into the painting a little bit. That one's blurred, a little bit lighter. I'm down lower, so I'm kind of shooting up on the teacup, and I'm not seeing the elliptical shape of the teacup. Here I'm able to see, which helps you. You know, I've been talking a lot in class about having some dimension. So here I've got at least 2 different layers. Look how blurred the back rim of the teacup is. And look how sharp. It's really sharp here, and it's less sharp here, and it's really blurred back there. That gives you a sense of depth automatically. My camera I have a great lens, that's a macro lens I'm using on it. So this one's really sharp, this one's really blurred. And that helps you tell the story, you know. But again, it's very different when you look over there and when you look here. But this helps you with your composition, to use your phone or your camera and crop it and see how it looks, and see, does that work as a painting? Because not everything, I think my biggest problems in painting from life have been, I just jumped into doing something really quick. I didn't think it through, and it was a bad composition. I think if you don't pick something you really like, you kind of fizzle with it. You just don't have an excitement about it. So that's why I try to set up a nice selection. And once everybody has chosen their spot, I'm going to have you tone your canvas. If you don't have a canvas, I've got some extra ones in the closet based on what you're going to paint. So if you're going to paint the apple, a red apple, I would tone it with the complementary color, which is green. If I was gonna do the oranges, I would probably tone it with blue. If I'm gonna do the purple, the yellow stuff, the lemons, I would probably tone it with a lavender-ish color, not real bright lavender. You don't always have to do your tones that way. You could do a warm tone if you wanted to, but sometimes it's interesting to have those purples kind of glowing through. And then I'll rearrange the tables if we need to so that you can see, but you wanna set your easel up so that if I were sitting here, I want my easel to be almost eye level. I want to be able, I don't want to be way down here. I want to be able to see the shadow on that apple. And I want my easel to sit so that I can glance at the two of them at the same time. I don't want to have to look at my apple and go back over here and paint. So if the main thing is having your easel and your still life right there where your eye can flick back and forth quickly. Then you want to have your paint on your right side. So I'll let you do that. And then after we get it all set up, we'll let our canvases dry. I'm going to do a quick demo to show you how I get started. It just my quick, simple lay-in. And then I'll just turn you loose. And let you go. Yeah, I'll let you just have a big, wonderful time. So.